Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Matt. I am the AmeriCanadian Gamer, and it's time to announce some winners and answer some questions. So, first of all, I was pleasantly surprised to see the number of people that actually entered the giveaway, and it's definitely telling me that there is a strong TF2 player base in my subscriber base. So, let's just jump right in here and reveal the winners. Now, I did randomly select these winners by drawing the names out of a hat. A nice little hat that I have from Ohio. Anyways, the third place prize goes to Butt Crack Berry. Yes, that is the name. Now, as I mentioned, you won't get anything right away, but you are going to be able to come to the Man vs. Machine Man Up mode with me and the other winners. Now, the second place winner and the winner of the Meet the Medic taunt is Lolcat1. And the first place winner, who will receive a very special strange rocket launcher that I have signed, is LolMaster Max. Now, congratulations to all of the winners who will join me and two of my friends in a game of Man vs. Machine's Man Up mode. Now, I will send all of you a private message with the details enclosed about the prizes. Alright, now let's move on to the questions. Now, I was very pleased with the number of questions that I received, and I'll start by asking the more common ones. Now, a few of you asked me exactly how old I am, and I am the ripe old age of 24. Yes, I am an old man. I also had a couple people ask me about the names of my cat and my plant, of all things. Okay, my cat's name is Lily, and the plant is named Fred. I also want to get a, okay, get this. I also want to get a bonsai tree so that I can name it Bonnie. I really want to get a bonsai tree just for that reason alone. My wife laughs at me, but I think that's actually kind of a good reason. I don't know about you, but I think it's worth it at that point. But what was probably the most common question, the biggest question that I got from all of you was, what inspired you to start a YouTube channel? Well, it's actually something that I've wanted to do for a while, but I never really had the opportunity to do it. And right now, I can't work. And that's due to issues with immigration. I mean, I'm physically fit, I'm capable of working, but legally, I cannot work. So I decided that I'm going to take this time to build up this channel, and hopefully by the time that I can work legally, I will have the subscriber base and the viewership that will allow me to join a network such as the Game Station, hopefully the Game Station, and I will be able to bring in money through YouTube. And it's also kind of the perfect job for me at the moment because the area that I live is heavily bilingual, and I won't even be able to get a job even at McDonald's without being able to speak fluent French. The closest reliable place for me to find an English job is in Ottawa, and that is over an hour away, which is not a commute that I want to make every day. So, hopefully, this will work out because it's not only the perfect job from a practical standpoint, but I absolutely love it to death. Scripting, recording, editing, I love every aspect of this, and I'm getting better at it every day. Actually, here, let me show you an old clip followed directly by a new clip, and you can tell the difference immediately. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Matt, and Valve has announced the much expected and anticipated Man vs. Machine update for Team Fortress 2. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Matt, I am the AmeriCanadian Gamer, and welcome back to some more Halo 4 live commentaries. Today doing some more... See, didn't I get better? I'm getting better, I think. But anyways, let's move on to some more specific questions. Alright, Dajir1, I hope I said that right. That's probably going to happen quite a bit. I'm going to hope I say these names right. Anyways, will you be covering the weapon damages done in the next Halo 4 update? I loved your automatic weapon comparison and would love to see something similar to that again. Well, yeah, I am going to cover the actual damage changes, particularly in the ranged weapons. Now, I was actually working on a ranged weapon comparison that would have been very similar to my automatic weapon comparison, but now that they are actually retuning them, I honestly don't see the point until they actually apply the changes, because as soon as they come out with that patch, there's going to be no point. My guide would have been irrelevant, would become irrelevant at that point. Philip Turtes asked, do you live in Alberta? Well, no, I currently reside in the province of Ontario, And I believe someone else actually asked me what province I live in, so there you go. I'm in Ontario. Here's a name I can pronounce. Fluttershy241 asked, will you start a new series after the weapon guides? Actually, I'm already working on a few different things that I'm not really ready to reveal at this point. But yes, there's going to be plenty of content in the days to come, and I'm really hoping to spice up the variety on the channel a little bit. I think you guys will be pretty happy with what I'm cooking up right now, if I ever actually get to the point where I'm ready to talk about it further than this. Epic Crayfish asked, would you rather have any amount of tacos or play Halo? This is a tough one. This is one that I actually skipped and came back to at the very end because this is actually a very tough one. Honestly, at this point, I'm going to have to go with the tacos. I mean, I love Halo, but there are other games out there, and having an infinite amount of tacos, that's too good to pass up. I mean, it's tacos. They're tacos. Halo comes and goes. Video games come and go, but tacos are forever. Okay, Smokin' Koala asks, is this your only job or just part-time? And also, what is your most preferred Halo 4 loadout? Well, okay, I answered the job part already, but as far as my favorite loadout, I'm going to have to go with anything that focuses on aggressive automatic weapon use with the assault rifle, storm rifle, or suppressor, primarily using mobility with either a jetpack, thruster pack, or actually the hologram. I really like the hologram with automatic weapons, and I like all of the automatic weapons, so I have no preference there. I just like being fast and aggressive, and being aggressive in Halo isn't really the best thing to do because you do really kind of put yourself into situations where you can't fight, but I just like being really fast-paced. I usually do get a lot of kills, but I also usually don't have very high kill-death ratios. I'll go like 25 kills and have like 20 deaths in a match, but the point with that is I'm having fun, and that's my preferred loadout in order to do that. Okay, Sniper's Skybomb asks, what weapons in Halo 4 should be changed and shouldn't in your opinion? Well, I don't know about what weapons shouldn't be changed, and they're already working on the loadout weapons, so I'm not going to say anything about those. But I do think that the Spartan Laser could use a serious buff. I mean, it's the only weapon that I actually actively avoid in the game. It takes so much skill, timing, and preparation to use the weapon properly that I don't think the reward you get for that much precision is really worth the effort put into the shot. Maybe a slightly faster charge time, or a bit more aim assist, or a shorter cooldown would help in that regard, but I really believe that the Spartan Laser is really a weak weapon right now, especially when compared something to the Railgun. The Railgun is not as powerful as the Spartan Laser, but it is definitely much more user-friendly, and it's much quicker, and those two things really stack up to make it a better weapon all around, and I think the Spartan Laser needs something to make it just a bit more powerful. Okay, Zimmer602 asks, what plans do you have for the channel after Halo 4 wears out? Well, I'm already planning on moving into a variety of different games. Now, I want to keep this channel focused on multiplayer shooters. So obviously, once Halo 4 runs its course, I'm still going to have Team Fortress 2, the next Call of Duty, Destiny, and of course Halo 5, and whatever other shooters happen to come out will at least see a short time on this channel. Now, I don't think the FPS genre is going to die off like a lot of people seem to believe right now, but I do believe that the current juggernauts of the franchise will likely disappear with the next console generation. I think the next console generation we're going to see the end of maybe Call of Duty's dominance, and we're going to probably even see the end of Halo in the next console generation. I'm not really certain what juggernauts will survive that, but there is Doom 4 is in the works, and there's hopefully going to be another Unreal Tournament since we have another Unreal Engine coming out, and we may even see a Quake 5, so suffice to say there will be plenty of fuel for the channel, and if another Unreal Tournament or Quake comes out, or Doom 4's multiplayer is very good, that's definitely going to see a lot of emphasis on this channel, because those arena shooters, just they don't have the same limelight they used to, and those are things that I think I really want to throw on the channel because nobody really does them anymore, and I love them. I love those shooters. They're just great. So you're probably going to see those when they come out. So that's kind of the future for the channel, is I'm going to keep it focused within the multiplayer FPS or just multiplayer shooter genre in general, but I'm not going to focus on one singular title. Darth Zox asks, what is your favorite game of all time? Now, this one's an easy one. My favorite game of all time is Pokemon Blue. Now, that's a game that, to this day, I can actually just pick up, and I can play it all day long without getting bored. I love the game to death. And, you know, that actually reminds me that I need to finish my playthrough of the game. I used to do Let's Plays on this channel. I did some Skyrim, I did Dark Messiah of Might and Magic, I did a little bit of Far Cry, but Pokemon Blue is the only one that I actually got close to finishing. I'm actually to the Elite Four. I stopped that Let's Play at the 1 yard line right before getting to the Elite Four, so maybe I should go back and finish that one up just to finish it up, because, well, it's almost done, and that is pretty much my favorite game of all time. Now, Ryan Lewis asks, how long have you and your wife been married, and are there any plans for children? Well, we haven't been married very long. Our 1 year anniversary is actually going to be this coming July, but we've been together for a few years. And as for children, we really don't have any immediate plans, especially with immigration right now, but the topic, it's come up a few times. But that's all I'm willing to say on the subject right now. Raven Sarer asks, hey Matt, have you ever come down to Hawaii? Also, what is your cat's name? And finally, what nationalities are you? Okay, now, I have never been to Hawaii, and I would really love to go to Hawaii someday. It's a very beautiful place, and it's some place that I actually think I would really thoroughly enjoy. And I've already told you my cat's name, and technically, I'm still only an American. Legally, I'm a temporary resident of Canada, if you're legally speaking. But hopefully it won't be too long before I become a permanent resident, and then I can add, on the legal basis, Canada to that nationality list. I'm losing my vocabulary here, so we're going to move on to the next question. Omega K Balls asks, do you have any tips for beginner YouTubers or anyone who is struggling to get their channel noticed? Really, the only piece of advice that I feel I'm qualified to give at this point is that you need to have persistence. You're going to fail, you're gonna mess up, and people are really gonna hate you just because, for absolutely no reason whatsoever. They will criticize every little thing you do. Like, I know a lot of my subscribers here are subscribed to Naked Eli as well, and he had a match where, on one of his War Games matches, where he went like 40 kills. He had an unfreaking believable. And someone was saying, man, this guy really needs to learn how to place his shots better and do this and do that and do that. It's like, the guy just went 40 straight kills without dying, and you're going to sit here and tell us that he needs to learn how to place his shots better. There are just going to be people that just do that kind of stuff. And really, sometimes there is no logic to what people will tell you. But I personally firmly believe that the difference between failure and success is persistence. I think that is what separates the winners from the losers and the successful from the unsuccessful, is just grinding on that little bit farther and pushing just a little bit farther until you actually reach the point and not giving up. Okay, ASFET23 asks, are you religious? Yeah, I have mentioned previously that I used to attend a church in Ohio where we played Halo 2 probably 2 to 3 times a week. Always at least 2. We had a couple Xboxes and we had a couple TVs and we could do 4v4. And that church is really where I spent the majority of my high school years. I mean, in fact, the youth pastor from that church is one of my best friends, and he is the one that married my wife and I. He was the pastor that did that. And I haven't been to a church service actually since I moved to Canada. And that's mainly because the area is very heavily Catholic dominated, and I'm not Catholic. But I really don't like being categorized into any specific denomination, and that's mainly because it brings various assumptions along with it. And really, suffice to say that my beliefs really aren't exactly traditional in any way. Anyone who has discussed them with me will tell you just that my spiritual and theological beliefs are really not traditional, but they're not radically out there weird. I really don't know how to explain it. I don't really have the time frame to explain my beliefs in full here. So we'll just move on to the next question. Maybe I'll bring it back someday, maybe not. I don't know if that's a can of worms I want to open, because you know how it is on the internet. You mention religion, politics, feminism, or anything along those lines, and you better put up a flame shield or just turn comments off, because it's game over at that point. So we'll see. We'll see. Okay, so Tushu asks, are you going on a road trip soon? Well, I may go back home this fall for Thanksgiving, but other than that, there really isn't much in the way of road trips in the foreseeable future. but I would really like to go back to Gettysburg one of these days. I went to Gettysburg when I was a kid, and I absolutely loved it. We even had a chance to stay in the Farnsworth House, one of the most supposedly haunted places in the country. The Farnsworth House Bed and Breakfast, a place where you have to reserve your room months in advance. The weekend we're there, somebody cancels, and we don't stay. We had the opportunity. I would have absolutely loved it, but I mean, what are you going to do? I was only like 12, and I didn't really have much say over it. Okay, Banshee Light asks, what music genre do you prefer? I actually prefer country music. I'm actually a big fan of like Willie Nelson, Johnny Cash, Tim McGraw, Garth Brooks, and for newer artists, Brad Paisley, Dierks Bentley, and lately I've been listening to a lot of Carrie Underwood. And I really didn't think that there could be anyone in country music today that could match Martina McBride in terms of pure vocal power. But Carrie Underwood is really right up there with her. And plus, on another plus side, pluses, how many pluses can I say? I really like how a female country artist, such as Carrie Underwood, can really look sexy and look attractive without dressing like a complete total slut. That is something that I really like about country music. It's just what I grew up with. It's what I like. Okay, Fun Guy 945 asks, did any other channels motivate you to start this one? There's a few actually. Pretty much anything from the game station like Total Biscuit and Jesse Cox. And I also watch Frankie on PC in 1080p, Xbox Ahoy, and Star. All of these channels are very, very good channels that I really suggest checking out. And those channels do have high quality content that really kind of showed me that I don't have to be a raging bro gamer douchebag to get anywhere on YouTube. Like a lot of people really are. A lot of really big ones are like these really kind of almost characters, not even really people, it seems. And I don't want to be that. I want to be me. And they showed me that quality can add onto that. That personality does matter to an extent, but quality matters as well, and people are paying attention to that more and more. And although, I want to say this, if my April Fool's video is any indication, I could actually be a pretty good raging douchebag. I want to say that. I should actually make that into a character and bring him back on occasion. I think that would actually be pretty fun. I think I could do that. That Reverend Colonel Sanders, I think I could do that. Majority FFA asks, will you be doing updated weapon guides for Halo 4 after the weapon changes occur? Absolutely not. Those guides for the primary weapons are so time-consuming and difficult to make, and I can't do that again. I really can't. They take a whole week to do at minimum, and I will make a video that covers the actual changes that will be happening in the patch, but I am not going to remake the individual weapon guides. I'm just going to put a little annotation in each one that says, hey, this weapon has changed since now. Click this link to go look at what has happened since then. Stuart Puplet asks, do you play Call of Duty? Yes, I have actually played every single Call of Duty game, and I plan on getting the next one as well. Now, I really actually enjoy the multiplayer. And it's kind of almost blasphemous to say that these days, that you actually like the multiplayer, especially if you play something like Halo or Team Fortress 2. It's like, what? You play both? No, that's impossible. And, you know, Lord forbid you put them both on the same channel like I'm doing. That's pretty much like a straight ticket to fire and brimstone at that point. There's no going back from that. But it's kind of become the shooter that I play when I want to relax from other shooters. It's easy, it's casual, and I actually find Call of Duty a very relaxing game, and plus I play it on PC, so I can just turn everything off and just ignore everybody, and it's really simple to play. I don't have to worry about Xbox Live messages, and I find the game actually very relaxing, to be honest. I know that's kind of weird, but that's how it is. Okay, Sketch Sword 21 has a few questions. He asks, what was your first gaming platform? What upcoming games are you excited or planning to get? And are you planning to move back to Ohio with your wife? Okay, my first gaming platform was a Super Nintendo. My grandparents used to own a video rental store back in Ohio, and they ended up losing it to a stupid contract loophole. Something really weird happened, and they ended up losing everything in this area to one person that I'm not going to go into it. But I was really only about 5 or 6 at the time, so I really didn't exactly understand what was happening. But they did give me the Super Nintendo and whichever games that I wanted for it, because they also rented video games, and they had a Super Nintendo there for people to try games out before renting them. So I ended up getting a lot of games, a lot of Mario games, Mario 3, Super Mario World, Super Mario The Lost Levels. I got Mortal Kombat, I got Jurassic Park, and I have a lot of very fond memories with my Super Nintendo. We also had a Sega Genesis, but I think the Super Nintendo came first. I'm pretty sure it came first. My brother would know, but I'm pretty sure the Super Nintendo came first. Now, as for upcoming games, Grim Dawn. Now, that's the spiritual successor to Titan Quest, and that's made actually by the same people. It's kind of a Diablo-style dungeon crawler with this just incredible dual classing system. It's actually dual masteries. Like in Titan Quest, you can take Warfare, and you can take Defense, and then you become, you know, a really powerful warrior. Or you can take Warfare and Storm, or Warfare and Earth. And then the Storm magic tree is like air and water, like storm stuff, and then the Earth one is fire and earth, and you can make an elementalist out of that. There's a dream mastery. There's so many different combinations, and they've kind of streamlined the masteries a bit, and they're bringing them into this kind of Victorian-esque world where mankind isn't really on the brink of destruction in the same way. It's not mankind versus one enemy. There's actually 2 different forces that have taken over the planet. I don't know if it's Earth or a different parallel planet that's just kind of like, hey, look, it's just this world, whatever. And one of them wants to use mankind to help them win the war against the other side, and so the other side decides they want to wipe out mankind before that can happen, and mankind is caught in the middle. But the influence of these 2 worlds has brought magic into the world, and mankind slowly learning how to use magic back against them. And you also have gunpowder and weaponry of that kind. So they have like the commando, the demolitionist, there's an occultist. There's so many different, well, I think there's only 5 or 6 different masteries, but you can combine any 2 of them. And it's a Diablo-style loot grind, really just looks amazing. It looks absolutely amazing, and I really suggest looking it out. I don't actually know when it's coming out. I don't know when it's supposed to be released, so it may not actually be an upcoming game. But when you say, what game are you the most excited about that's going to be coming out, that is the one that jumps in my mind first. So that's probably the one I'm most excited about. As for current games that are upcoming, Destiny is probably the big one out of all of them. I'm really curious about Destiny. So we'll see what happens with that. And as for moving back to Ohio, we don't have any plans for this just yet. I mean, immigrating is a very, very difficult process, and we can't really make plans that far ahead. I mean, I would love to, one day, but I don't think it's going to be anytime soon. I mean, you never know what's going to happen. If you told me 5 or 6 years ago that I was going to be married and living in Canada, married to a Canadian, I probably would have just straight up laughed in your face. I would have probably done exactly that. So you can't really say, oh, this is going to happen and this is going to happen. So I've kind of learned to just kind of go with the flow. And we'll see what happens. But we do visit Ohio rather often, so I don't exactly miss out on as much as I could. But we'll see. Okay, the Flawless Wings asks, what do you think of Bungie's new game Destiny so far? Destiny looks interesting, to say the least. It's a class-based multiplayer FPS set in a persistent and evolving world? Yeah, I can dig that. I can get behind that. And they've been very careful to not use the term MMO so far. They've actually made it a very specific point not to say MMO. Now, obviously, it is an MMO. It is an MMO, but it's not in an MMO in the traditional sense. It's probably not clear that it's going to be an MMO where you log in or you have a subscription fee and it's just like servers and shards. We're not sure what's going to happen. It definitely has MMO elements, and it could technically be classified as an MMO, but it's very clear that they don't want it advertised as such. They really, I think, want people to put the focus on themselves as opposed to the world around them and their influence on the world instead of the world's influence on them. And I think that's part of their whole advertising scheme. And we're probably going to hear a lot more about it at E3, and I'm really praying that it comes to PC. There's a lot of things going around that, oh, it's not going to come to PC because this guy said people only like playing shooters with a controller now because of Halo. And other developers saying we would love to put it on the PC, and all sorts of stuff just going around. And I would love it to be on PC because it's actually very difficult for me to play shooters with a gamepad. It's actually frustrating for me. I can only play them for a certain period of time outside of a game night environment. It's very difficult for me, and I would love it to be on PC. I would absolutely love it. So we'll see what happens with Destiny. We'll definitely learn more at E3, and I'm just excited about it. I'm very excited and curious. I'm curious more so than anything. Okay, Epic Master 29 asks, will you be doing map strategies after the weapon guides? Probably not. I mean, I think most people are pretty set in their strategies for each map, and I did want to do these at first, but the ship has kind of sailed on that chance. I mean, maybe I can do some for the next map pack, but as for now, there really isn't a point to doing map strategies because everyone kind of knows what to do in the flow of each map so far. Okay, Arvinder270 asks, what was the first game that you ever bought? Wow, the first game I ever bought. That's a tough one. Okay, with my own money, it was probably actually Bomberman Heroes for the Nintendo 64. I found it in a bargain bin one day when I was younger, and I just bought it because it was like $5 or $10, and that's pretty much all I had on me at that time. And that's the earliest game that I can remember actually buying with my own money, and I don't regret it. I actually enjoyed that game very, very thoroughly. I played that game a lot. That was a fun game. I liked Bomberman Heroes, except for the one lion boss. The second time you had to fight the lion boss kind of underwater, no, the final boss wasn't that hard. No, that guy, no, screw him. No. Okay, Geronimo C has a few questions. What's your favorite type of music, genre, bands, or groups? Are there a lot of major differences between Canada and the US? And do you follow any particular YouTubers, and have you made any new friends because of YouTube? That's a lot of questions. Well, I've already covered my musical taste, and I've already mentioned what channels that I want to follow. And yes, I actually have made a few friends because of YouTube. But as far as differences between the US and Canada are concerned, we are actually far more alike than we are different. The main difference I'm going to say between the US and Canada is the food. Now, there's a lot of food that we have in common, and we have very similar taste. But I want you to listen closely. I've introduced my wife and her family to the following foods: chili, coney dogs / chili dogs, cornbread, and biscuits and gravy. Those are things that you can't really get here. You can get coney dogs from Dairy Queen, but that's about it. You can find chili at a few places, but it's not like Mama's homemade chili. You know, it's not like American homemade chili. It's different. I actually have yet to find any place nearby that sells good, old-fashioned country biscuits and gravy, you know, with like a white sausage pepper gravy and really good homemade biscuits. I mean, even the country gravy mix itself, that white country gravy, you can't find that. I can't find it anywhere. We have some that we got from across the border. Otherwise, we have to make it ourselves. And there's also just a lot of food and restaurants from the States that I miss. There's a lot of stuff you can't get here that I just miss. The States, in terms of food, has such a larger variety of options and so many different things that you can have. I mean, I went to Dairy Queen and I couldn't get a chocolate malt. They don't have those. They don't have the twist cones. They don't have that kind of stuff. And I guess the only other thing I can say about that is Canada does have this thing called poutine, where it's French fries, cheese curds, and gravy. But that's just French fries, cheese curds, and gravy. And other than that, the maple syrup stereotype, 100% true. There's maple syrup stuff everywhere. It's everywhere. There's maple syrup candies. There's a place where they give you maple syrup there's maple syrup everywhere. It's everywhere. That's not just a fake stereotype. It is everywhere, at least in this part of Canada where I am. It's everywhere. But that's really probably the biggest difference, is that the food. I mean, as far as political stuff is concerned, anything social with the way people act, we're actually very similar. The whole stereotype of everyone up here is super nice and super like friendly and hey, how are you doing? No, that's a stereotype. That's not true. It's pretty much, if you didn't put me in a French area, I wouldn't be able to tell this was Canada with, just by looking at stuff. It's just, we're the same. We are. It's North America. We're really not all that different. There's good and bad people everywhere, and it's just, I don't know. We're just not really all that different. We're really not. Okay, Thunderfoot240 asks, is setting up a recording setup difficult? If not, what products do you recommend starting off with? No, recording is actually the easy part. Getting set up to do it, that can be a little tricky at first, but you get the hang of it very quickly. But the editing, that's the difficult part. That's the part that's the most time consuming, and the planning. So that's really where the hardest part comes in. And any piece of equipment that I could actually suggest is actually my microphone that I'm using right now. It is a Blue Yeti microphone, and I got it, and it's cheap. It's about 150 bucks. It's a USB microphone, so you're not going to get the maximum quality possible, but it's cheap, it's effective, it's reliable, and if you're just starting out, there's no point spending, a couple $1,000s on a really high quality microphone and setup until you get to a further point, and that's what I'm going to be doing later on, probably, is investing in a better setup much further down the road. Okay, Pichu2468 asks, are you going to do more Team Fortress 2? Yes, absolutely. It is one of my top games ever, and I really actually kind of regret not having more of it on the channel at this point. I did used to put a lot of TF2 on the channel, but then Halo 4 and Black Ops 2 came out, so I really kind of fell back on TF2, but there will be plenty of it to come. It's going to be here. I am planning on putting quite a bit of it on the channel, actually. Mutant Cashew asks, how much do all of your recording systems cost? Well, if you want to count my microphone, my capture card, and my software, which includes Fraps and a Sony Vegas, that is about $600 altogether. Now, as I said before, I use a Blue Yeti USB microphone, and as I also said before, I really don't see a point in investing a lot of money into a high-end setup just yet. That includes capture card and software. Now, maybe after a few thousand more subscribers, like after 10 or 15,000 subscribers, I would invest in that, but not yet. Not yet. Block Gaming Alpha asks, was it hard to get footage for your Halo 4 weapon guides? Yes, and that's really mostly because I decided to cover every perk and armor ability that I felt was relevant and worth covering for the weapon. And that's the mistake I made, was the format. I should have done more of a, here's the weapon, here's what it does, now let's make a loadout. I should have gone with that route because it's much simpler, and it gives me an opportunity to talk about more things like the Storm Rifle. It works really well with the Hard Light Shield because you can use the Hard Light Shield while the Storm Rifle cools down. Maybe I'll do loadout guides, and I will be sure to cover that one, but I wish I could have talked about stuff like that more. Okay, Atlantic Aurora asks, what are your favorite bands, and has any music changed your life before? Well, my favorite bands specifically, would probably be, the only ones that come to mind, probably Alabama, Diamond Rio, Lone Star, Aerosmith. There's a lot of bands that I really like and that I could keep listing here. I'm really a fan of music in general. I prefer country, but I do like almost all kinds of music, and I really can't honestly recall any time where music has had a major impact on my life. I can't really think of any time that it has, but I really do enjoy listening to it throughout the day when I work. I really do enjoy pretty much every kind of music except for rap. Rap isn't really something I can get into. The beat, when I'm trying, because I listen to music when I work, and the beat is just too distracting to me when I work, so it's really hard for me to actually listen to it in that sense. Now, outside of work, I can pass on some of the rap, and some of it's okay, but it's really not my cup of tea. Okay, Andre98MS asks, what is your favorite Halo game? That's easy. Halo 2, without a doubt. I spent more time in that game than any of the other Halos, and I absolutely loved every minute of it. Halo 2's campaign, all the little things that you could do with it, I just love the inclusion of dual wielding, and just all the innovations they made from Halo 1 into Halo 2. Just experiencing that for the first time, finding Blind Skull for the first time. I actually found the Blind Skull by myself without even knowing skulls existed. I just kind of jumped up onto that roof and I was like, hey, what's this? I picked it up and my HUD disappeared and I thought I screwed up the game. I actually restarted my Xbox and then I did it again and the same thing happened. I went, oh, that's supposed to happen. And then I Googled Halo 2 skulls. So Halo 2 was definitely a game that I adore. It's a game that has a lot of nostalgia for me. It's in my past a lot. I have a lot of memories with it, and it's just a game that I just love. I can't really put it any other way. Halo 2 is by far my favorite of all of the Halo games. Halo 4 Gamer Guide asks, did you ever think you were going to hit 1,000 subs? Actually, I wasn't sure. I mean, I was hopeful, of course, but I knew that if I couldn't really hit 1,000, there would be no hope of me going any further. But, I mean, the bigger I'm getting, the faster I'm growing, and I'm noticing that, and I think it's because people don't like watching a video that has a small amount of views, or if it comes from a person that has a low sub count, because that kind of translates to being poor quality for a lot of people, and I really don't blame people for thinking that, because there are a lot of people that really put out just junk. It's like, here's me playing Minecraft, guys, here's a block, look, oh look, it's a spider, hey, watch me hit it with a pick. Hit. Isn't that funny? Ha ha ha. And you get a lot of that. And it's just noticeable how quickly I'm growing now compared to when I began. Every time I log into Gmail, I have a new subscriber. It seems every single time I have at least one new subscriber. When I wake up in the morning, I usually have a couple of more subscribers. And I'm noticing the bigger I'm getting, the faster I'm growing. And I hope that keeps snowballing. I really hope it does. So here, the next goal is 10,000 subscribers. I'm hoping to get to that within probably a month. I'm hoping, but we'll see what happens. We'll see, but I'm very happy with where I am. You can't just say, oh, look, I got here. Now let's look to the future and forget everything that we just did. No, you need to take in the milestones that you get, and you need to appreciate the work that you put in to get to that point. So I'm very happy with where I am, and I'm really excited about where everything is going to go. Okay, Yakugan67 asks, if you could work at 343i, what would you do to improve the game? Okay, going back to the person that asks what weapons I would change and what I wouldn't change, I actually thought of something different. I would make it so that ranged weapons, like the DMR, and especially the sniper rifles, will zoom out when you get shot. I believe that is such an important balancing factor in Halo, and that when you have a weapon as powerful as the DMR or the beam rifle or the binary rifle, and you put stability on it, there's nothing you can do to stop it. There's nothing that can be done. You can sit there and you can pelt somebody with your DMR or your battle rifle or your carbine from a range, and because they have stability on their sniper rifle, they zoom in and they pick your head off like you're absolutely nothing. In previous Halos, that was one of the best ways to counter a sniper, was to put suppressant fire on him. You could actually do that. You could pelt him with a battle rifle. You could pelt him with SMG fire, with a pistol, and it'd force him to zoom out and force him to either try to no-scope you or take cover and reposition to get a better shot on you or focus on another target. Or you could force him to zoom out to prevent your buddy from getting shot. Okay, say your friend is down in the little pit and there's a sniper overlooking him taking pot shots at him. You can shoot the sniper, force him to zoom out, and tell your friend, hey, get moving because I'm keeping that sniper suppressed, and there's nothing they can do about it. I really wish they would bring that back, and I actually think that would help tame some of the power of the DMR, because right now that's a weapon that at range completely dominates because you can't really touch it. Yeah, you can kind of tickle it with the battle rifle and with the light rifle as well, but when they have stability on it, they can just keep taking their shots. And I think that's a real issue that needs to be worked out, because I think that's a very important balancing factor to the ranged weapons themselves. Okay, /rant, that's over, because I could talk about that all day. Okay, Darth Tom 282 asks, what is your favorite book? Another easy question. My favorite book is The Hobbit. Now, it's been my favorite book since I was younger. Probably 8th or 9th grade is when I first read it. And it's definitely more kid-friendly and easier to read than the other books. Oh, well, okay, than The Lord of the Rings, or definitely an easier read than The Silmarillion. But I think that actually works to its benefit and makes it much more enjoyable, because when the read is simpler, it doesn't mean that it is a worse title. You don't have to have a very boring read to make a good book. And I think The Hobbit, even though it is geared more towards children, is somewhat of a timeless tale. It's a really good story that I think has a lot of very adult elements to it that I think people underestimate of the book. It's not just a kid's theme. Yeah, it does have a lot of kid-friendly stuff, but I think it's a book that can be enjoyed by pretty much anybody. Okay, Kristen FBX asks, what do you think about Justin Bieber and swag? They don't really bother me that much. I've kind of grown past the point where I really care about what other people enjoy. It doesn't bother me if somebody has a different taste, and the way that I really see it, as long as you aren't hurting anyone, have at it. Who cares? It's your life. Our leisure time is incredibly valuable, and who cares if somebody doesn't like what you like? Okay, Romil RH asks, what are the most difficult things about being a YouTuber? People. People especially do not understand the work that goes into a video, even a little video. Now, when you have to plan, record, edit, make the thumbnail, and do a variety of other little things, it's a surprising amount of work. I mean, every 2 hours of video you see, or every 2 hours, I mixed that up. Every 15 minutes of video you see was probably an hour to an hour and a half of work. Probably about that much for me. And once I get further into my editing skills, that'll probably go up even further. And also, when you tell people that you are a content producer on YouTube, you get weird looks. And I'm pretty sure that everyone talks about it behind my back. That's pretty much been the hardest part of YouTube, is trying to explain to people, this is what I do. This is what I enjoy doing. Lots of work goes into it. Look, a lot of work really does go into it. And people are like, yeah, well, you're not lifting boards and hammering nails, and you're not welding metal together. You're just sitting in front of a computer. I'm doing work. It's not physical work, but it's mental work, and that's the hardest part, is actually working around people. Nathan Roos asks, if you could go to any country for a holiday, what would it be? Germany, actually. My family descends from Germany, we hail from Germany, and I'm actually descended from the people that founded Budweiser. And they give family tours and all sorts of other neat stuff, so that would be something that I'm actually really interested in looking into. I would love to go back there. Plus, I also have a cousin that plays professional basketball in Germany, and I would really like to go see him again. Okay, Super RB Chief 1 asks, how long have you been a gamer and what are your top 3 or 5 games? Well, I've been a gamer for as long as I can remember. Actually, one of my earliest memories is playing Super Mario Brothers on the Super Nintendo at my grandparents' video rental store. And my top 3 games of all time? Would be... Well, I already said Pokemon Blue is my top game. Right after that, I'd have to put Doom. I put a lot of hours into Doom as a kid on my aunt's computer. Played a lot of Doom. A lot of Doom, actually. Granted, I was a dumb kid and I always put in IDKFA, IDDQD, and just blazed through everything. But besides that, Ghostbusters on the Sega Genesis, a Mega Man-style game with kind of an RPG shop element to it. I really enjoyed that. And definitely probably the best Ghostbusters game probably ever. Probably the best. I know the newest one got a lot of praise for how good it was, and I have yet to play that. I wasn't really too into getting it. But as far as classic Ghostbusters games are concerned, the one on the Sega Genesis is by far the best of them, and is one of my most loved games of all time. My name is Jean Valjean, and it asks, what, in your honest opinion, is the best Halo game? Okay, now, Halo 2, I think, is the one that showed the most improvement from its predecessor, and as I said, that's the one that I really like the most myself. But Halo 3 took everything that Halo 2 did and built on top of it and made it better. And while I did play Halo 2 much more, I do honestly think that Halo 3 was the better game, but only because it built on top of what made Halo 2 so good. It knew what it had, and it just made it better. Okay, Tony13Tiger asks, with the new Xbox console due out around the holidays this year, do you plan to grab one right away, or do you think you would wait till there's a good number of games out for it? Well, it actually kind of depends on what happens with Destiny, to be honest. I mean, I'm probably going to wait until something releases that's worth my time, but I do kind of have a feeling that Halo 5 will release early in the generation to help push sales for the next Xbox. I don't know if they'll release it early enough to compete with Destiny, because I really doubt they want to compete with a game that could help push their consoles, but saying, okay, we're going to have Destiny, followed by Gears, followed by Halo, I think they could make a big push with that. I think that's probably what they're going to try to do. So we'll see about it, what happens with all of those, but I will pick up an Xbox eventually, the next one. It's more of a question of when. X873 Wireless asks, what is your favorite Halo weapon? This is going to surprise some people, but my favorite Halo weapon is actually the M7 submachine gun from Halo 2 and 3. I just love the design of the weapon. It had that side-loading magazine that was just full of caseless rounds, and I know it's not the most iconic or beloved weapon in the series, but it is definitely my favorite by far. It is just, I just love the weapon. It just feels good. I think it looks good. I just think it's a solid, enjoyable weapon. And if you want to ask me what my second favorite weapon is, and it's a weapon that not many people like, it would be the focus rifle. I actually really liked the focus rifle in Halo Reach because it reminded me of the lightning gun from Quake. The lightning gun just required you to keep a consistent beam on your target and keep that precision, and I think the focus rifle, taking it into a sniper element with an overheat, was a very good twist on that style of weapon, and I really liked that. I really liked the focus rifle. So definitely the SMG, followed by the focus rifle. My favorite Halo weapons. And finally, Shadow Magicians asks, are you excited for the 4-shot battle rifle? Well, I'm actually more curious than I am excited. If these changes work and the game becomes far more balanced, then you can bet that they're just going to carry this over to Halo 5, and that's a good thing. I want them to succeed. I want them to say, hey look, everything's balanced, it works, it's fun, you can take whatever loadout you want, and as long as you play to its strengths, you'll do well. And I want that to work, and I want to see that carried over to Halo 5 if it works. But if it doesn't work, then maybe that means they'll be forced to take Halo 5 back to its arena roots and get rid of loadouts altogether. I don't know if they would do that, but I'm very curious to see the ripple effect of these next balance changes, because I don't think people understand how important this balance change is coming. Because Halo 4 has done horribly compared to the other Halos, and compared to a lot of games out there. I mean, it did good initial sales, it did good enough in its first week to warrant a sequel and to put more budget into a sequel, but it hasn't gotten the critical success from its fan base to warrant doing everything the same. And the thing is, Halo is winning a lot of weird little awards here and there, and it's getting a lot of praise for different things, and I'm really hoping that they pay less attention to these various awards that mean absolutely nothing, and more to the fan base that left them because of what they did. And if they work out these balances, if they get everything working now, it means Halo 5 will be that much better. But if they don't, they need to understand that it's just not going to work. If it doesn't work for them, they need to understand they need to take a step back and go back and take Halo to what they know works. The whole Halo 2, Halo 3 style that we know people like. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. This is going to be a very important patch. This is going to decide a lot of things, I think, for the Halo series in the future. So, there you have it. I hope I answered all of your questions thoroughly enough. And I do have an important vlog coming out later today, so be sure to catch that. I will put an annotation here if it's already come out by this point. So, ladies and gentlemen, as always, thank you so much for watching. My name is Matt. Here's to 1,000 subscribers, and hopefully more to come. I'll see you next time.